year is 1907, the place Ormond Beach, Florida, the birthplace of speed. Fred Marriott, in his Stanley steamer, the Rocket, prepares for his second speed trial on the hard-packed sand. Last year, the Rocket hurtled across the beach at 127 miles an hour, making Marriott the first man to drive an automobile at better than 2 miles a minute. Will he be able to smash his own record? Then disaster. Entering the famous Ormond Beach measured mile at top speed after a 7-mile-long acceleration run, the steamer literally rocks itself to pieces, splitting in half and throwing Marriott 100 feet through the air. Miraculously, he escapes serious injury. 1927. It's 21 years since Marriott's crash. Malcolm Campbell has set a new world speed record of 170 miles per hour. And Sir Henry Seagrave comes to Ormond Beach to unleash his 1,000-horsepower Sunbeam in an attempt to upset the record. And he succeeds, streaking through the measured mile at an unheard-of 203 miles an hour. 1928, and Campbell is back once more, determined to shatter Sir Henry's mark. After a bump at 180 miles an hour temporarily puts the Bluebird out of action, Campbell tries again, and this time he hits 207 miles an hour in the measured mile for a new world's record. 28 is a busy year for the international racing fraternity at Ormond Daytona Beach. Here's Ray Keach wheeling his 36-cylinder Giant out of the Ormond Garage. Engine trouble delays him, but he goes on to beat Campbell by a half mile per hour and to become the last American driver ever to hold the world land speed record. It's 3 years later, and in the meantime, Sir Henry Seagrave has topped both Campbell's and Keach's record-breaking runs. But now the 2,500 horsepower supercharged V12 Rolls-Royce engine carries Campbell's Bluebird over the sand at a speed of 245 miles an hour, and he becomes the first man to drive a car at 4 miles a minute. Sir Malcolm and the Bluebird come to Ormond Daytona Beach again in 1935, and this time he's out to reach 300 miles an hour. Can it be done? It's a big order, even though the Bluebird is now the world's fastest car. To help guide her in a straight line along the beach, an oil strip is laid as a track on the sand. Then Sir Malcolm once more thrills the automotive world by hitting a scorching peak speed of 330 miles an hour. It's a disappointment for him, though, since the top speed was not reached in the measured mile, where his two-way average proved to be 276 miles an hour. It's a new world record, though, and racing history is made once again on the sands of Ormond Beach. America's original gasoline alley is the Ormond Garage on Granada Avenue in Ormond Beach, where R.E. Olds and Alexander Winton tuned up the first cars to race on the beach in 1902, and where Glenn Curtis, Barney Oldfield, Malcolm Campbell, and all the greats of racing history groomed their cars and motorcycles. The old garage is still there today, unchanged by time, even to the original lettering still visible above its doors. And some of those historic cars, now a half-century old, are still around and in perfect running condition, too. Here, Bob Horn, one of the brothers whose Horn's Cars of Yesterday is a popular attraction in Sarasota, Florida, is getting 2 of his beautifully restored antique autos ready for a trial run on Ormond Beach. They'll be taking part in an old-time car meet and race on the beach in a few weeks. On the road, the cars of yesterday prove they're as good today as they ever were. And Ormond Beach itself is even more popular today than in its glamorous past. The birthplace of speed, boasting the most ideal year-round climate in the world, has become a picturesque community of modern homes and accommodations for travelers on Florida's Atlantic seaboard. The starting point of the old measured mile is marked by this sign on the beach side, near the Eleanor Village Teen House. It memorializes early speed records set by R.E. Olds, Barney Oldfield, Fred Marriott, W.K. Vanderbilt, Louis Chevrolet, Ralph De Palma, Henry Ford, Malcolm Campbell, and other racing greats. And they're off again at Ormond Beach. It's like a page from the history books as the Matheson and the Staver Special go into the measured mile. The Staver is a fast car, even by today's standards, with a speed in second gear of 65 miles an hour. Driving right on the hard-packed sand like this is a pleasure every visitor to Ormond Beach can enjoy, although the speed limit for everyday driving now is 10 miles per hour in the interest of safety. Back in 1902, racing cars had to be transported to Ormond Beach by river barges and over primitive sandy roads through the Florida hammock. Today's visitors arrive at the popular resort by way of U.S. Highway 1 or USA 1A and in modern airliners. Touching down at Daytona Beach Municipal Airport, a National Airlines plane is bringing more happy vacationers for weeks of fun in the Kingdom of the Sun. Adjoining the airport and only a few miles from Ormond Beach is the brand new $4 million Daytona International Speedway, where today's stock car and sports car racing classics are held. The Pennies are typical of all Florida visitors. They can't wait to get out of those northern clothes and into something more tropical and comfortable. And they've come to the right place for it, too. Their vacation will be spent at Ormond Beach, where life is delightfully informal and playtime is any time the year round. Leaving the family car at home and traveling by airliner will give them extra days of vacation fun. And they've arrived in Florida relaxed and refreshed after their fast, comfortable flight. Now, this is the way a vacation really should begin. The station wagon is waiting outside the recently completed terminal building at the airport, and it's there just to take the Pennies to Ormond Beach. The drive from the airport to Ormond Beach is a short but pleasant trip, leading from the mainland to the beach over one of the causeways spanning the wide Halifax River. This is subtropical country, and the air is balmy and filled with the fragrance of flowers and orange blossoms, mingling here with the tang of the salt sea air. A fashionable gathering place for the international set at the turn of the century faces the Halifax on the far side of the causeway. It's the Ormond Hotel, where some of America's wealthiest families were guests during the famous speed trials of another era. John D. Rockefeller built his retirement home, The Casements, across the street from the hotel after a team of experts assured him the air was free of pollen and the climate ideal all year round. And this is the Pennies' destination at Ormond Beach, fabulous Eleanor Village Resort Motel, the world's largest and friendliest family resort. A community of